Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at a fascinating career path. We're diving into how a top executive built his success, maybe unconventionally, not by chasing passions, but by strategically, avoiding the things he hated.
Exactly. We've got this really detailed interview, thanks to Chelsea, with a department general manager, a division head, basically. He's at a mid to large company down in Shenzhen in that super competitive soft hardware space.
Right, Shenzhen. And this isn't some small team lead role. He's managing around 300 people.
Yeah, about that. It's a mix of full-time staff and external or outsourced folks as well.
And the pay reflects that. We're talking taxable income, maybe 2 to 3 million RMB a year. Yeah. That's serious money, especially in the Chinese internet sector. Usually means crazy hours, right? Like 996.
You'd think so. And yeah, the hours are intense. 9:30 a.m. and leaving around 8:0, maybe 8:30 p.m. So 10, 11 hours a day, typical stuff. But here's the twist. He consciously avoids working weekends. The source makes a point of this, especially the last couple of years. So he's hit this elite level, but is somehow managing or maybe prioritizing better balance, which is frankly pretty unusual for that industry.
Definitely an anomaly.
Okay,
so that really sets up our mission here to unpack this strategy. Choosing based on dislike, not like. How did that actually work? Let's go back. High school, right, Jiuzhu.
Yeah, Jingshan Middle School. And what's interesting is his mindset back then, he was pretty realistic, knew he wasn't, top 20 material.
So no illusions about getting into Tsinghua or Peking?
Nope. He figured his level was more aligned with solid universities like Zhongshan University or SCO, South China University of Technology. There wasn't that intense anxiety you sometimes see, just practical.
And even choosing what to study. It wasn't passion-driven, was it? He used that dislike filter again.
He did. He apparently considered humanities, but just didn't like the logic side. Or rather, he preferred logic. He really, really hated the idea of memorizing stuff for history or politics.
Okay, so elimination leads him away from humanities.
Right. Towards physics initially, and then ultimately computer science. Software technology at SQT, which is actually the top program in Guangdong province.
Driven by a love of coding theory?
Not exactly. It was gaming. Apparently he got hooked in junior high, used to pull all-nighters in internet cafes.
The classic gamer-to-coder pipeline fantasy.
Totally. He had this image of being a tech guru, a programmer, maybe even a hacker,
But reality bit, didn't it? The actual academic program.
Oh, yeah. Big-time disillusionment. He started out, first 2 years, worked hard. People were apparently copying his C++ and data structure homework. He was into the theory then.
Yeah.
Then the tables turned. Later years, he was the one copying homework from others. He found the curriculum, things like writing DOS commands, just felt pointless. It wasn't teaching him how to build a website or, actual useful software.
He missed that jump from theory to actually making things.
Exactly. He called it the steep curve that self-driven leap needed to create real applications. The academic path just wasn't practical enough for him, not research-focused in the way he maybe expected.
So pure coding wasn't his thing. Where did he find his wins then?
Well, he shifted. He found he was good at helping the really technical classmates. He'd contribute strategy, ideas, promotion for their projects, things like the Challenge Cup competition. He became the ideas guy, the non-technical planner.
That non-technical angle, focusing on strategy and ideas, that sounds like foreshadowing for his career.
Absolutely. It leads us right into the start of his professional life. He was feeling kind of lost, anxious about avoiding those purely technical roles. Then he went to this P&G University presentation.
P&G, Procter & Gamble. What's the connection?
That's where he first heard the term product manager, PM. This was around 2009, 2010. The internet boom was really kicking off, and the idea clicked. Managing a product, a brand, focusing on strategy, users, that resonated way more than coding syntax.
Okay, the aha moment.
Yeah.
So how did he get into a PM role?
He leaned into those non-technical strengths, planning ideas. He entered some regional innovation contests, got second place, and that was his in, landed a PM internship, then a full-time gig at Tencent.
Tencent. Huge platform. But it wasn't smooth sailing from the start, was it?
Not at all. He describes himself as very introverted, but his first team, super outgoing, always joking, socializing.
Culture clash.
Big time. His first team leader apparently wasn't sure he was a good fit, even thought about letting him go.
Wow. So his whole career almost stalled right there. What happened?
He got saved, basically, by his data skills. A leader in a different team, revenue operations, noticed his analysis in some internal emails, saw he was sharp with data.
So the numbers guy rescued the introvert.
Pretty much. This leader offered him a transfer, pulled him into that team, and actually became a key career mentor for him. Huge turning point.
Okay, so he found his footing,
Uh-huh.
but then Shanghai.
Yeah, after about 2 years, he got ambitious. Jumped at a chance to lead a team in Shanghai, replacing the previous leader, but he admits now he was just very immature, didn't have the experience.
And the result.
The team basically collapsed after 6 months. Total failure. He had to go back to Shenzhen, tail between his legs, and got slapped with a low C performance rating. Rock bottom, he said.
Ouch. IC rating at a place like Tencent. That's tough. How did he recover from that?
Resilience. And that mentor helped again, got him put in charge of another product team. And this time, he knuckled down, spent the next 2-3 years just consciously building those core leadership skills.
Like what specifically?
Setting direction, really managing people, holding them accountable, tracking progress properly, foundational stuff he'd skipped before. By his 5th year at Tencent, even though his title was still just team lead, his actual scope, his responsibilities were basically director level.
He rebuilt himself. Okay, so 5 years in, he's competent, he's leading effectively, but then comes another challenge.
Yeah, the plateau. He felt he'd hit a wall. He was working on what he called a mature business at Tencent.
Meaning
Meaning a business where the big growth spurts are over. Things are stable. Processes are set. Success is more about steady execution than finding the next big thing. He felt limited.
And that led to the big question.
The crucial question. Was this my capability or the platform's capability? Was he good? Or was he just benefiting from Tencent's massive resources and brand?
That's a brave question to ask yourself, and it requires a pretty brave move to answer it.
Totally. He made a really risky choice. He left Tencent, jumped ship to Xunlei.
Xunlei. I seem to remember they had kind of a mixed reputation back then.
Yeah, a lot of people apparently viewed Xunlei pretty poorly at the time. It was definitely seen as a step down, or at least sideways, from Tencent. Big risk.
Why Xunlei specifically?
To prove himself. He went there specifically to take charge of a whole business unit, end to end, to see if he could make it work outside the safety net of Tencent. It was about validating his own skills, separating them from the platform.
Did he ease into it, try to learn the ropes?
Nope. Went in aggressively, started integrating teams right away, apparently wasn't too worried about ruffling feathers, just focused on getting things done.
Bold move in a new company. How did that play out?
It worked. Because the founders, the execs at Xunlei, were apparently supportive and wanted change. His direct approach got results fast. He got promoted to VP within about a year, suddenly managing hundreds of people.
Wow. So that leap paid off.
Massively. He calls it a smooth leap in hindsight, which is interesting, because the business model itself was quite similar to what he did at Tencent, so he could apply his leadership skills directly, just in a new, less resourced environment. The validation was clear.
Okay, so platform versus personal capability, proven. What came next? Did he stay at Xunlei?
No, the journey continued. He seems influenced by that whole entrepreneurial vibe in Chinese tech. He spent about 3 years at an internet fintech startup next.
Fintech. Another shift.
Yep. He saw it grow rapidly from a few hundred staff to over 1,000. But then policy changes hit the fintech sector hard. Ah, the regulatory hammer.
Exactly. The startup declined. So another pivot. He switched industries again. Moved into mobile phone manufacturing, integrating software and hardware. Totally new territory for him.
Which brings us to his current role as GM there.
That's right. It's a career defined by these calculated risks, self-testing, and adapting across different sectors.
Let's dig into that decision-making process then, the inner work. Because his core advice seems to be, don't wait to figure out what you like.
Yeah, he's pretty strong on this. If you don't have that clarity, waiting for passion to strike can just lead to paralysis. His strategy was the inverse. I was clearer about what I dislike.
We touched on this earlier with his major choice. Hating memorization led him away from humanities.
Exactly. And it continued. He avoided pure technical jobs because he disliked the lack of sort of real-world application he felt in academia. He steered clear of civil service roles because he disliked the bureaucracy. Okay, but hang on. Just avoiding things. That sounds a bit negative, maybe even passive. How does simply not liking bureaucracy translate into becoming a high-flying executive earning millions? Isn't disliking bureaucracy pretty common?
It is common, sure, but he frames it more analytically. He wasn't just complaining, he was actively screening. He argues that while finding your passion is obviously the most efficient route.
If you can find it.
Right. If you can't, then systematically eliminating what you know you don't want is the next best thing. It drastically cuts down the options, reduces that feeling of aimless wandering. He made choices that minimize friction with his own core preferences, like logic over rote learning. It's elimination as an efficiency tool.
Okay, that reframes it. Less passive avoidance, more active filtering. So, looking back with that understanding, what does he wish he'd known earlier? Like advice to his younger self?
Two main things came up. First, be more confident.
Confidence. Why did he lack it?
He traces it back to childhood, feeling like an outsider in his town because he wasn't a native speaker there. He felt that impacted his confidence and communication skills early on.
Makes sense. And the second piece of advice?
This one's maybe more profound. He wishes he'd read philosophy and psychology much earlier to, in his words, understand how to get along with the world.
Philosophy and psychology. How did that help him professionally?
Hugely important, he says. Especially in recent years, maybe the last 5 or so. He feels his whole worldview, his self-concept, has been kind of reconstructed and perfected using these tools.
Any specific frameworks?
He highlights Adlerian psychology, particularly a concept called subjective task separation.
Subjective task separation. Sounds a bit academic. What does that actually mean in practice for his career?
Okay, let's break it down. The core idea, sometimes called kerifuli in Chinese discussions, is basically about separating your responsibilities from other people's responsibilities. Specifically, separating your effort and your tasks from how other people judge that effort or those tasks.
Ah, okay. So detaching from external opinions.
Precisely. He realized that for the first, say, 5 to 7 years of his career, his self-worth was totally tied to external feedback. Praise made him happy. Criticism crushed him, like that C rating. His self-assessment was completely volatile, dependent on others.
Trapped by the platform's judgment or his boss's judgment.
Exactly. Adlerian ideas helped him shift that. Concepts like, what other people think of me is ultimately their business, not mine. Or focusing internally on, am I doing my tasks well? Am I being a useful person according to my own standards?
So developing an internal scorecard.
Right. It allowed him to establish a fixed standard for judging himself, regardless of external validation. He could do the work, deliver what he believed was valuable, and not be emotionally derailed if his boss didn't like his style, or if a performance review wasn't perfect.
That sounds like the bedrock of real resilience. Building stability by decoupling your self-worth from the roller coaster of corporate feedback. What a journey from that introverted kid saved by data skills to an exec who controls his own internal thermostat.
It really is. So if we pull back and look at the big picture, the key takeaways for you, the listener, seem pretty clear. First, success doesn't always require finding your one true passion. Building backward by eliminating what you actively dislike can be a surprisingly effective way to narrow your path.
Yeah, don't just wander aimlessly waiting for inspiration. Filter actively. What else?
Second, that critical need for self-validation outside the platform. His risky jump to Zonlei wasn't just about a new job. It was about proving his own capability, separate from the halo effect of a big company like Tencent. You need to know if you can do it.
Test yourself independently. Got it. And the third?
And third, the power of those deeper frameworks. Finding something like Adlerian psychology or any robust philosophy can give you the tools to build stable self-confidence. That resilience doesn't just happen, it seems he actively constructed it. It protects you when the inevitable bad feedback or setbacks arrive.
Right. So this executive managed to separate his self-worth from external critique using subjective task separation. That really leaves us with a powerful question to think about.
It does. Ask yourself, what are your core values? What are the internal achievements or standards that hold true for you, whether someone gives you that C's rating or promotes you to VP? How can you apply this idea of separating your tasks and effort from others' judgments to build a more stable internal standard for assessing your own professional life?
Something to definitely mull over. How do you build that internal anchor in the face of external storms? That's our deep dive for today.
That's deep.